old heart impacts past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions. Fact, don't ask, grab reactions. Jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused. Call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose. Pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now. Y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet now. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here. And now, whenever we last left off, we had Izuku Midoriya. He has unlocked Super Saiyan 3, spending the last 11 years of his life trying to achieve this form. He has finally managed to break through that wall he's chipped away at so hard. Now, with that being said, Midoriya actually just stand there, with his power flowing out of his body, as Morse actually just stare in somewhat amazement, before actually giving a bit of a grin, bringing his hands up and congratulating Midoriya, telling him that that form does show power. And Midoriya actually just rushed towards him immediately. Now, everyone is standing there in amazement, and Wakashi is wondering if that is really his dad. He's never seen anything like this before. That's powerful. Now, with that being said, we will continue with their fight. These two do begin, Midoriya rushing in and actually being able to throw a punch. As soon as he actually does have Morse catch his hand, Midoriya is able to put more force into it. And he's able to go through Morse's hand and actually sock him directly in the face. This actually catching Morse off guard, as Midoriya actually does then bring up his leg, kicking him directly in the chest before trying to blast him away with the Ki Blast. Now, Midoriya is able to do that. Before then, Morse does actually get up, off of the ground, Midoriya using instant transmission appearing right behind him, bringing his leg up and slamming him directly in the side, before then bringing his other leg up and smashing him on the other side. Midoriya then throwing a fury of punches directly into his back. Now, Morse is actually very impressed with his power, and Midoriya does seem to start physically dominating his opponents. Now, Midoriya and him do throw each other around, destroying and blasting away the landscape. As Morse, he actually has get up this time, after being thrown through a mountain, and bring up his hands, blasting directly through the mountain as Midoriya actually has encountered it with his own blast, throwing his hands behind him before quickly throwing them out forwards and blasting with a large amount of power. Now, the blast immediately explodes and creates a large crater, these two then rushing at each other. Midoriya then actually punching him across his face again, Morse doing the same, hitting Midoriya hard with a left hook. Before, Midoriya actually has go to throw his leg up, Morse hitting Midoriya directly in the chin, and sending his head flying upwards as Midoriya begins to spin backwards. Now, Midoriya actually does eventually recover, Morse appearing directly in front of Midoriya and bringing his hands in, throwing them out both forwards as Midoriya does actually block them, holding onto them as Midoriya does actually feel his muscles physically strain at doing this. So this power increase, it's more than I thought, but even then I still can't win. Midoriya actually powering up, Ki Blast in his hand, as Morse begins to do the same. These two both staring at each other as they both begin to try powering up. Now, that battle, it is intense. and multiple ideas are being thrown around on the lookout as to what they can do to take precautions. Wakashi actually remembering the note his father gave him, but also remembering the instructions, deciding that looking at it may not be able to hurt, and he actually does uncrumple it and begin to read it, being quite surprised. Now, with that being said, he actually does get his sisters involved, showing them what it does say, along with actually talking to Kaito, who doesn't understand a lot of things currently happening. Now, with that, we do cut back to the planet. Midoriya is still fighting, and so is Morse, the two going back and forth. Midoriya actually brings up his hands up to block, as he gets sent flying away with some mighty punches, before smashing into the ground. Now, Midoriya can feel the strain on his body this form is giving him. His stamina is already beginning to deplete faster than he thought. Damn it. Even perfecting the other forms doesn't help the drawback. Now, Midoriya actually has to bring his hands up again, and Morse informs him that their little playtime is now over. Now then, with that being said, Morse actually is beginning to rush towards Midoriya. Midoriya watching as he does get blitzed. Morse appearing in front of him before throwing his hand upwards and directly into Midoriya's chest. Midoriya actually flying backwards as he actually does bend over, spitting up quite a bit of blood. Morse then punching Midoriya across his face with his left arm, and hurting Midoriya quite a bit. Midoriya being sent barreling through a few mountains and flying, let's say about 70 miles, within 3 seconds. Now, after that does happen, Midoriya does actually get back up, and try to shake off the fatigue he feels, along with the power that was behind that punch. Midoriya has been hit hard enough by enough opponents to tell whenever somebody is holding back, and Morse is still holding back power. Now, Midoriya actually has begun to feel his heartbeat faster again, and actually begin to pump in a rhythm. Midoriya trying to calm himself down as Morse appears directly in front of him. "What's the matter, Saiyan?" Midoriya is just looking up. Morse informing him that he thought they were still fighting. Just because he throws one solid punch isn't a reason to give up. Telling him to get back on his feet. He's actually having quite a bit of fun with this battle. Midoriya actually does do so, as he does rush towards Morse. Morse beginning to simply just dodge and block Midoriya's punches, as if they were nothing. Now, Midoriya is quite astonished at this development, him just getting angrier and angrier at Morse. As Morse, whenever Midoriya actually does go to throw up his leg this time, he grabs Midoriya by his leg, bringing his hand up and smashing directly down on Midoriya's kneecap, breaking it. Before, Midoriya actually has thrown out his left hand, Morse grabbing his fist and twisting his arm, breaking Midoriya's fingers, wrist, and dislocating his forearm, as Morse begins to pull Midoriya's arm a bit more, popping it out of the socket. And Midoriya just begins to scream out in pain as he brings up his right hand, and he actually does throw a point-blank ki blast into the man's face. Now, Midoriya finds, after the ki blast does dissipate, that the man is still standing there, as he throws his head out forwards and smashes Midoriya directly in his nose. Midoriya being sent flying backwards, as he actually does try to put his left arm back in the socket. And he does then try and fix his elbow. Now, Midoriya actually does fall out of Super Saiyan 3. Midoriya, feeling his massive power increase, disappear, as he's then just sitting there in Super Saiyan 2, with his leg broken. The Emperor taunting Midoriya that power increase was nothing. In fact, if he really wanted to show him power, he would stop holding back against him. What are you talking about? Oh, please. I've been feeling your power through this battle. There's something hidden inside you, isn't there? A power you're trying to hold back. I feel it. In fact, I'm curious about it. If you really are a Super Saiyan, then show me this power. Now, Midoriya brings his hands up and actually does heal his leg, before getting back onto his feet. This actually surprising the Emperor. He's seen that technique before. So, you and that other woman, that's how you managed to get back on your feet. Interesting. I wonder how far I can take that technique myself. Now, Midoriya does hear what the man says. The man rushing Midoriya. Midoriya going to break up his arms to defend. The man punching Midoriya straight in his arms. At 100%. This actually breaking Midoriya's right forearm, along with his left one. The amount of force that was sent behind that single punch not only sent Midoriya flying, but it hurt his sternum, and possibly broke a few of his own ribs, as Midoriya got sent flying before smashing into a mountain. And before his mind can even process what happened, he's blitzed once again, and kicked directly in the stomach. And the Emperor just begins to blitz Midoriya, breaking literally bones all throughout his body, before he actually just brings his hands together and smash Midoriya across the face, sending him flying back down into the ground. Now, as soon as that does happen, Midoriya, he just lays there defeated, as he actually does still try and move and get up. Now, everyone on Earth is still watching this, and King Kai, he is currently wondering about what's about to happen next. Surely Izuku is going to get back up. Now, the Emperor instructs Midoriya to heal himself. He should get a good power boost from that. Then they can continue their own little fun. Now, Midoriya actually does so. And as soon as he actually does begin to get back onto his feet, his heart begins to pound heavier once again. And he actually does bring his hands up, as he begins to try and claw away at his chest, falling forwards onto his knees. Everyone just watching. Midoriya then brings his hands up to his head as he begins to scream out in primal rage. And the Emperor just starts looking at him, wondering what is happening. Did he finally draw out that power that he wanted for so long? Now, with that, everyone on the lookout is looking at the battle, and Midoriya's power begins to change. Now, Midoriya's ki goes from a calm yellow to sparking into a strange color, as power begins to resonate from all around Midoriya, virtually being pulled into his own body. Now, Midoriya's hair then also has begun to spark into a different color, along with his eyes turning yellow, and his muscles getting a lot larger. Now, The Emperor is quite astonished, feeling Midoriya's power. It's become a lot more potent. And you actually have Momo, who, she sits there pure quiet. And she is at least trying to reach out to Midoriya. And you have Mina, who actually does begin to bring her own hands up, as she's trying to think of a magic spell she can cast. Something to help Midoriya right now. If she can at least make sure to keep a leash on him, then he will be alright. The first time he ever accessed a power similar to that one, or something close to this, he almost lost complete and utter control. He almost turned into an Azaru. And if he did, he would have lost everything. He could have destroyed the planet. And Vados is actually remark on this. That is true. But Midoriya right now, he's on a planet devoid of life. The only two living beings on that planet are him and Cars, or Mars. Now, I just said the wrong name. That could be a JoJo reference. Anyways, now. With that, Mars does actually watch this. And Midoriya, his power just begins to fluctuate. Before, he does fully turn Super Saiyan. And his ki does actually change. Midoriya, he can feel this primal power. It was what he was working on. It's what his father managed to achieve in that cave. He's finally done it successfully. He managed to put the power of an Izaru into a Super Saiyan form. Now, Midoriya himself, he's beginning to lose his mind. He has turned almost into the legendary Super Saiyan form. Now, before anyone does go off in the comments, I am aware this is a mutation for a Saiyan. However, Broly is able to harness the, power of the Ozaru, even without his tail. So I do want to say that a Saiyan with a tail, they could manage to do it. It's just a simple form of combining the wrathful state with the Super Saiyan form. Broly may have an easier time doing that because of his chemical makeup, or his genetics. However, I do want to say a regular Saiyan with enough training could come close to doing it. If they had enough training, and were pushed far enough. Now, Midoriya begins to transform, and Morse does begin to watch this. Midoriya's power jumping farther than Super Saiyan 3. Now, as for the multiplier for this form, Midoriya's power jumps up 1,000 times. And this is where Cars is more impressed, and Vados is quite surprised, wondering what Midoriya is going to do. As Midoriya rushes towards Mars, and goes into a feral rage. Now, he immediately blitzes the man, grabbing him by his face and beginning to drag him throughout the planet. As he then does do one more thing. As soon as he actually does throw the man up into the sky, he sends out a large amount of ki blast. Morse actually being sent flying as he does actually get back into the right position. As soon as he does go to fly forward and rush Midoriya, he gets hit directly in the chest by a ki blast, before they all do begin to surround him and attack. Midoriya basically using a version of the Hell Zone grenade. And Morse does actually try and dodge them and get away from them. Him actually morphing his body so the ki blast can go straight through. However, more ki blast just begins to hit him, Anytime they make contact, they explode. And if they miss, they come back around for a second attack. Midoriya then just rushing in, grabbing the giant man of slime, or the pile of slime or gum, and beginning to just blast away all of his power into it, letting loose. Now, Midoriya seems to have Morse on the ropes, and everyone's calming down a bit more. Now, Midoriya just begins to simply just fight and fight more and more intensely. And Morse, he is actually a bit more impressed. Except, now he's no longer playing around. Midoriya has lost absolute control of his own body. And he's rampaging. He can tell. These are not the tactics that somebody in his position would use. So that power is nothing more than all brawn, no brain. Now, this is where Morse does actually bring his hand up, forming it and catching Midoriya's fist. That's surprising Vados and everyone else. Morse then twisting Midoriya's arm as he does break it once again. Midoriya backing up and bringing his hand up, blasting away at Morse before he actually scream out a ki blast. Now, the Emperor does take the blast head on, before simply just rushing forward once again, and grabbing Midoriya by his throat. Him actually throwing him down towards the planet as he does actually make a ki blast, and blast out at Midoriya. Now, he just simply just begins to continuously fire these things off, over and over and over again. As he actually does throw himself downwards and smash directly down into Midoriya's face, cracking and actually hurting his skull. Now, Midoriya actually is beginning to power down. Him heavily exhausted, exerting most of his power, healing his body, and fighting against Morse. Now, Morse actually does ask Midoriya a question. Since he's barely conscious, is he going to give up now? I need an answer. Otherwise, the Saiyans are next. Midoriya actually trying to bring his hand up and reach towards the sky. Now, Morse tells Midoriya he needs an answer, grabbing him by his hand and stepping on Midoriya's arm, right at the joint, as he twists the arm and breaks Midoriya's arm, before beginning to pull, asking Midoriya for an answer. Join him now or die. Will he serve? And Midoriya, he doesn't answer him more. Him just beginning to twist and twist and twist. Midoriya screaming out in agony. Now, this is where Momo and Mina, they have actually had enough. They can't watch this anymore. So, the two immediately grab hands and leave. This surprising Piccolo, who was wondering about what they should do. Now, we also do have the Supreme Kai, who himself is thinking about getting involved. The Emperor has been a long threat that they have waited to take down. However, he does not affect them. But with the fact that he's about to kill Midoriya, they need to intervene. This being interrupted whenever we do have Momo and Mina, who actually do appear directly in front of Morse. Midoriya actually looking up to see both of them, as he tells them to just simply run, get away. And Morse turns his arm more, as Midoriya begins to bleed a lot, Now, Morse actually does look up at them, and they just stare at him, not sure what to do. They had an entire plan, and hopefully this does actually get them some help. As Morse asks if they are going to surrender. However, Mina just says no. Morse getting angrier, as he does actually rip Midoriya's arm out of socket and pull it off. This angering both of them, as they actually do pull out the Potara earrings and put one on each ear. Midoriya watching as the two fuse, and the fusion then does rush forwards. As for right now, Midoriya, after losing his arm, he actually does pass out. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing night. I'll catch you guys in the next part.